What's up, everybody? Welcome back to After the Dead. The Walking Dead is back for Season 10. The Season 10 premiere has officially aired, which means Comicbook.com is bringing back After the Dead. If things look a little bit different here, that's because we're a podcast now, and that's because everybody can listen to us in their morning commute on Monday morning if they didn't get enough Walking Dead on Sunday night. I'm Brandon Davis. We are here to talk about The Walking Dead. I'm joined, as always, by Janelle Wheeler. And new to After the Dead here this fine October morning, whenever you're listening to us, is Kofi Outlaw, the host of our Comic Book Nation podcast. If you're not listening to that, I do suggest tuning in. I'm very excited that you can listen to us as a podcast. I don't really know what that means, but I think it's cool.
It's good. Like you said, it's people can now listen to us while they cook their fine meals in their kitchen and prepare their HelloFresh, or if they're on their commutes, and you get to just be in their ears.
Are you sponsored by HelloFresh?
No, I'm not. HelloFresh.
But if you're listening,
easy way to cook.
HelloFresh.
Yeah, no.
After the Dead.
Well, look, so The Walking Dead Season 10 is back. The show is going to outlive all of us. But I am happy that we're finally trending in the right direction in terms of quality. I thought Season 9 was great. I really was a fan. So we're going to talk about our reactions to tonight's episodes. But first, I'll give you a little bit of rundown what we're going to do. The opening of the episode started in space. We're going to talk about the love triangle. We're going to talk about Rick's kids, Michonne's final season, Aaron's big turn, which I think might be coming finally, and Negan. You can't not talk about Negan. And we're also going to talk about the train wreck that was Fear the Walking Dead Season 5. So let's just start, though, with our reaction to tonight's episode. I'll go last. You guys, what did you think of the Season 10 premiere?
Ladies first. I was blown away. I was really excited about this. It felt like a really long time since the last time we checked in with them, and it was really good to see a bunch of familiar faces. We got to check in with almost everyone, and that was really good. Also, the space thing definitely threw me off, but I'm excited to explore that for sure.
Yeah, the first shot, really, I'm glad you warned us that we were watching the correct show, because I'd have been confused when this opened with a shot of a spacecraft, which is like the last thing you expect to see in Walking Dead. But hey, it's Season 10. You gotta tap the ideas where you can get them.
When I first started when I first pressed play watching it for the first time, I was like, wait a second, is this did they send me the right show? And I restarted it like 3 times. I went back to my email, I played it again, and I was like, and then I got to I was like, oh, that was the right show.
I was really hoping that it might be like, what is that show, The Last Man on Earth?
Yeah.
Where his brother he's in the spacecraft, and that it was actually going to be like a living person that made it through the zombie apocalypse.
And doesn't know what's going on.
Really hoping that was going to be it, but fire instead.
It'd be like a weird Lost Haley episode.
It'd be so cool.
Right. Well, that's like, I remember when I think it was Season 2 of Lost started, and it was Desmond just going about his day, and I was like, is this the right show? Yeah. And then the hatch explodes, and you're like, oh, this is the guy in the hatch. But all right, we'll be right back. We're going to run through all of tonight's episodes. We've talked to the cast a whole bunch, so we have a lot of exclusive insider intel for you. As always, you wouldn't be After the Dead if not. So stick with us in just a second, and you'll hear all about it. All right, welcome back to After the Dead. We are about to break down the Season 10 premiere and preview what's to come with all the super secret stuff that we're going to unsecret for you. Starting with that satellite we were talking about earlier. When that satellite went by, my mind has trained me, as a fan of Lost, like we mentioned, and just a fan of, Marvel and everything else that is going on right now, to pause it, look at it, and be like, what is on that satellite? What does it say? What's going on? And then it ended up not really being that important, because listen, I thought this is going to be some kind of groundbreaking, expansive thing.
So did I.
Where we're going to find communication in space, and we're going to connect the globe somehow and get a big reveal about why this is going on. And none of that happened.
Instead, it just led us to...
Yeah, it was, to me, that part of it was disappointing, but I can forgive it because it was all answered within the first episode.
Right.
In previous years, this would have taken...
five episodes.
Mid-season finale.
My God.
What's in the woods?
Yeah, it would have taken so long to get there. But my mind did go, it was USSR, and I thought of Fear the Walking Dead when Victor Strand talked to the Russian astronaut from the boat, and I was like, oh, maybe that'll tie together. And maybe it did somehow, but we'll never know. I don't think it's important. But that was cool.
The most excited I got is I thought it said Capsule Corp on it for a second, and I was like, did they just drop a Dragon Ball reference?
Is Dragon Ball Z about to become... I'll sell you all kinds of capsules. But no, I thought that was cool. But I think what this is ultimately going to lead to is a tie to the Rick movies. I think it's communication. Eugene made them stay back. That was not for no reason.
Yeah.
Angela Kang doesn't put pointless story threads into the show. And I think that's what it's going to lead to. It's talking to either the Commonwealth or wherever Maggie is, probably the Commonwealth, or wherever Rick is.
They did mention that they hadn't gotten any letters from her, heard anything from Maggie in the episode in a very long time.
Maybe they can boost the signal and finally get in contact with some of these stragglers from Fear and give them something to do.
Oh my God. The Fear of that show. Oh, we're going to get into that. Yeah, if they bring Ginny into The Walking Dead, I'm turning it off. I'm just stop. All right, let's move on to our next topic. There's a bit of maybe a love triangle going on. I don't know. I can't tell because I feel like The Walking Dead has perpetually teased like a relationship between Daryl and Carol that never happens, but then they keep like making it a thing, but not actually making it a thing. And now they're doing that with him and not only Carol, but also with Connie.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, though, because I think the way Angela Kang does it, the way she wrote this it was much more subtle than things have been in the past. It was cool because not only do you have Carol showing more of an interest in Daryl than Ezekiel, which was pretty cold towards Ezekiel. I felt bad for my guy.
Me too.
But she goes over there, and that's great. But then you also have Daryl with the ASL pamphlet in his pocket.
That was really touching. Loved that.
I love that. And it's a subtle cue. It's a really smart little subtle thing that as a TV viewer, you're like, oh, he must be romantically interested in her. But then Kelly looks at Connie and says, oh, that guy? And Connie's just like, no, stop. So I don't know.
She's just being shy. I really think she's just being shy. And I do not. I've always tried to ship Carol and Daryl, and I've been told no so many times that I finally have just let it go. He called her his best friend. Like, I think it's still just platonic.
Yeah, I kind of like the platonic, like, brother, sister. Like, they're what's good about their relationship is it shifts kind of shades. Sometimes it's almost like a weird mother-son relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like a best friend relationship. Sometimes it's like two like abuse victims in the same like
Yeah, I mean, they
therapy
are.
group.
They have
like,
that in common.
kind of thing, and like that's what they're bonding over. And I love that it changes shades. I don't think. I mean, if there was ever a love scene between Daryl and Carol, I think we'd all be like hovering over a trash can, either from awkwardness or just fear.
I just think it would have already happened.
Gut wrenching,
Yeah.
like, oh, I got something I thought I might want to see, but I don't really want to see this.
I think it's too late. Yeah.
And I like him and Connie. And once
do too.
once a girl starts taking care of your dog, like that's a big deal. Like,
True.
Yeah,
you're
that's
headed
big.
down.
That's true.
Yeah.
Lauren Ridloff, an Eternal now.
Yeah.
She is a Marvel star.
Yeah.
It's just these actors from The Walking Dead are just like, well, we're going to go do a Marvel movie. Ross Marquand, Denai Guerrera, and now Lauren Ridloff, who plays Connie, are all Marvel stars. I don't know who
joke. It's going to be a big joke. How to get a Marvel movie role? Go audition for The Walking
do
Dead.
The Walking Dead real quick, and then you'll pop up. I did ask Norman Reedus about that, and he kind of downplayed the whole thing when I talked to him at the season 10 premiere. He just kind of said, "Oh, it's good to be able to communicate with people," and I think Connie's a real could be something. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know exactly what he said. I don't remember. You can find it on the site or on our YouTube channel, but. He said something along the lines of communication is great, relationships are great, these people are all tools for each other, and the more relationships you have, the better you'll be to survive. I don't know if he was just downplaying it because the show isn't going to commit to it one way or the other. I hope it does. I hope at least if something is ever going to happen, I hope we get there and there is a definitive ruling on, I don't know, Daryl in a relationship or not. I honestly don't have I'm not invested in one or the other, but just solidify it for once.
It seems as
for the
though
first time.
Norman has never wanted Daryl to have a love interest. It just doesn't seem like that he wants that for his character.
Well, for the first time, he's the one who's about staying with the people.
Yeah.
While Carol's the one who's like, nah,
Yeah.
It's nice.
I'm out. But
it's good to see him more vulnerable.
I think she'll stay because of Alpha. She wants to fight Alpha.
Yep.
She can't do that alone.
Yeah.
So I think she's motivated by revenge.
Yeah, and I think the way the episode ends kind of reminds us of that, and it kind of informed her and Ezekiel's thing. Like you were saying, she was very cold to him, but they are dealing with this whole parents who lost a child type story arc, which can get really messed up between people, and dealing with that, and her grief and trying to get over that. Yeah, she might have to kill Alpha to get put that away, and I think that is the main event that most fans would want to see at this point. You take all these main characters like Rick off the board, and it's like, well, where do the rivalries come in? Well, yeah, Carol versus Alpha is a great
That's the Rock Stone Cold WrestleMania.
Yep,
Yeah.
I want to see them back in that quarry with just the two of them down there, and it's like one of us climbs out of here and one of us is
From the top of the quarry, by God, she killed her.
or just Carol does a running grab with Alpha and jumps off the quarry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here for RKO out of nowhere. I did. There were possibly my favorite scene in the episode. I mean, I loved the opening. It felt like watching 300, but in the zombie apocalypse. That was cool.
So cool.
And like how they were such an army and the slow-mo shots and stuff. Like they
Yeah.
upped it. They definitely
I
upped
felt
it.
like they were practicing, though. To me, it didn't seem like they were taking it that seriously until the very end.
But also, I mean, it's a sign of how
Oh.
seriously they have to take the dead because
Yeah.
they don't know if they're whisperers.
Right.
So
Yeah, and it's called Training Day,
True.
so like
Yeah.
they are building up for something.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe they're going to war. I really liked the Rick Jr. Judith scene where Judith is telling the story about the brave man on the bridge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
RJ's like, "Did the brave man go back to his family?" And then she's like, "No, he died." And I'm like, "Oh, these kids are so cute. That's young Ray from Star Wars." Kaylee Fleming is just such a great actress. She's
Right.
so
Yeah.
good.
Judith?
And then Judith is, and then Anthony Azor is RJ. It's cool to see Rick still have his presence felt on the show, but not be responsible for the narrative. Like he's not a factor in what I mean, he's a factor in like their emotional decisions.
Yeah.
But he's not a key for the story. We can have a show without Rick Grimes, which is so important. And I wasn't sure that was going to be the case.
Yeah, that was going to be, we skipped over me, but that was going to be my overall impression of the episode. This is the episode that kind of really does prove, because last year at the second half of season 9, it was just kind of literally like survival. Like, can we survive and even end this season without Rick? Is this massive change just going to deep six the show? And it didn't.
No.
You pointed out that it got scarier, it got better. But this was the first episode with the clear air and the new kind of premise, and it really did establish that this isn't going to be like The Office or something like, you take out the main character, and it really has, in a weird way, opened up The Walking Dead in two important ways. One, we can now explore more of these other characters and relationships without having to constantly come back to this central thing, so it can be more of an ensemble spread. And kind of two, the stakes are now raised because you never are really sure who's safe, except for like
Right.
Daryl and Carol.
I mean,
And then
you still don't
other
even
than
know.
that, yeah.
There is
Literally
no
just
like, there
Daryl.
is no like top tier character who you're like,
Yeah.
they can't go. And I mean, you have
Right.
a few exceptions. Like, we're not going to see Daryl die this season. Let's face it.
No.
We're probably not going to see Carol die.
No.
Michonne is leaving, but I don't even think she's going to die.
Wow.
Yeah, come on. You're not going to kill Michonne when you have movies and an expanding universe coming.
Okay.
That's the next topic, so we can just go there. Michonne, this is her last season. Denai Guerrero's last season. I can tell you this, they filmed this season out of order so that they could get her in episodes further down the line. So she's not going to be in every episode this season, which isn't uncommon, but she will be there for longer than she was at production. Pretty sure she's here through 12. I've heard there might be a scene with her in the finale, but I'm pretty sure 12 will be her last episode. I'm not 100% sure, but I've heard from a lot of people something along those lines. And her story seems pretty like she's the leader. She's going to have to deal with leadership in a way that Rick never had to, but she's also showing shades of Rick, which is interesting.
Yeah, she doesn't
Like,
seem tormented anymore. She seems really like stable.
I think it came through in the
positive.
scenes with Aaron.
Yeah,
only on the
same.
bridge.
Yeah,
and that
like-
was like a good thing you're mentioning how they work Rick back in, was just like when she almost said like, Rick, I lost Rick on a bridge or something, and she like stopped herself short and was just like trying to pull it together again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I respect that like the OGs are the ones that really don't want to cross the boundaries with Alpha. Like they're the ones that are like, do not cross. Like we are not going to play this. And then except for Carol, of course.
Yeah, she
But
didn't care.
yeah, it just seems like the ones that have had a lot of experience with really terrible humans in this world don't want to mess with Alpha anymore. Like they just
And,
want to
yeah.
respect what they, compromised on.
And it's good to see that we're not still going in circles about like the should we, shouldn't we form community stuff. Like this is our community. We care. Everybody cares now. We don't have any weird like loners like not caring.
Yeah.
Everybody's invested in this, and that creates stakes, and that's good because you don't have to kill people to cause the
Right.
pain, as we saw with all those heads on the pikes.
Yeah. But like within those communities, I think it's interesting that there isn't really. I mean, maybe it is Michonne, but I don't think there is a clear-cut leader. Like we have the council at Alexandria, but you have Father Gabriel going to Negan for advice, where Rick did in the comics. You have Michonne kind of being the de facto. People are coming to her because she is the badass who she is, who earned that spot. But you also have Daryl, who people turn to. You even have like Magna and Yumiko and different, like all these different people who are at least
stepping up.
influencing the leadership
Right.
to a point. There is no one. This isn't a dictatorship. This is a democracy kind of for the most part. And while everybody does want to attack the Whisperers, they still are listening to the people who are telling them not to.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I really do like the fact that Aaron might finally get a turn. Like Aaron, I feel like Ross Marquand is one of the more talented actors on the show. I think he's very capable, and I think he's been so underused. I think finally you see that conversation that him and Michonne have on the bridge, and he's like, Eric's dead, Jesus is dead, I'm tired of being the nice guy, I got a metal ball for a hand, so I'm going to start smacking people with it.
I'm still having a hard time buying it though.
He was
just because they built him up to be this just sweetheart for so long that I'm having a hard time like imagining, even like just I don't know. He's gonna have to do something really drastic for me to look at him as like I'm the
like,
bad guy now.
Bite out a guy's throat drastic.
I'm hoping that they
Yeah,
do with
yeah.
him what they should have done with Alicia on Fear the Walking Dead, because she lost family members and just started painting trees. Like, it was terrible.
Yeah.
And with Aaron, he's going to lose people close to him, and it seems like he is going to start being a
Paint
badass.
trees and
Being-
blood.
Like he was more happy and
Trees with
lovey than
whisperer blood.
Glenn, and like it's harder for me. Like I would have been more understanding to see Glenn turn than Aaron. It's
Well,
happened.
the thing is that Glenn maintained who he was through years of the apocalypse, whereas Aaron never had to go through the things that
You're right.
Glenn did. This
Yeah.
is the first time Aaron is going through these things. He's lost people
True.
now for the first time, really. I mean, he probably lost people when the world fell,
Right.
but he was sheltered for the however many years until Rick and the
lost them
group
to
showed up at
walkers.
Alexandria.
Right.
So now, after the war with Negan really pushed him to the limit, I think it's time for Ross Marquand to actually get some time to actually do something
yeah,
meaningful.
and more just on air time, more camera time.
Can we let's talk about that. Ever since Angela Kang took over, characters like Aaron and Daryl, and I mean there are others as well, Eugene, like they're actually saying meaningful things. Like
Yeah.
they're talking. There was a chart, I saw a chart on Reddit that counted the number of words Daryl said per season. And the chart for like seasons 1 through 6, it just kept going up, and it was like, I mean, it was, I don't know the number, but it was really up there. There was thousands of words. And then when you get to seasons 7 and 8, the number of words Norman Reedus said was just like minimal. I mean, a fraction of the lowest season before that.
Whoa.
And it's why? Why would you do that? And now they're talking again, and not only are they talking again, there's none of that vague dialogue crap.
Yeah.
They're actually saying
what you
things.
mean,
There's
yeah.
no like, well, we got to do what's right.
Progress the
for
story.
the
Yeah,
sake
this
of-
was such a
Yes.
nice refresher from Fear, like in hearing all the stuff they kept saying on Fear all season.
The dialogue was so much
I was
better.
like, yeah, I was just like, this is not a self-help like therapy video.
But even going back to season 8 of Walking Dead, like, there would be times where a character should just say something because it makes sense. But if they say it, then we solve the problem now.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't say it, so we could preserve the problem.
yeah, that
for
one
3
piece
more
of
episodes.
information, if you just say
it
By
out
the way, some
loud."
people popped out of a truck back down the road. You may want to know that before you ride out.
Yeah, now they say it, and it's meaningful, and it actually progresses the story. I think The Walking Dead is back to being as good as it's ever been right
Yeah.
now, which is great. I've seen the next episode. It's a Whisperer episode. It's great. It's really good, and I think it's better than this one. I have episode 3. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard from people who did that it's just as good. So, anyway, I'm obviously happy that the show is.
Me too. Very happy.
And I'm liking how this cast has been together, some tight knit, and sometimes behind the scenes. So, like you were saying, but they've developed these bonds that you can clearly see, and them riffing off one another.
Oh,
and
yeah.
kind of, like moving off one another is it's so much smoother. Like.
Yeah.
Than it has been, because like I said, I'm sure they just were hanging out in the background of a lot of
For
shots,
sure.
True, that's
sets,
true.
and
Exactly.
bonding and stuff.
They're shooting in the middle of nowhere, Georgia. Like they're each other's only friends, you know. So, they do. I think you're right. They do develop like that chemistry that you don't even get that on other projects sometimes. And I think that's part
This
of
was
why
very
show's
the most
successful.
Ocean 11-ish I've ever seen The Walking Dead in terms of
Yeah.
just, like moving between characters and characters bouncing off one of the other characters. It was really good.
Yeah. I asked Ross Marquand about that turn, and he was excited. Like he just seemed purely enthusiastic to see Aaron actually
It's
get to
good
matter.
to see someone.
And Norman
like,
Reedus said something too. He was like, I talked to him. I was like, Daryl's actually talking again, which is cool. And he was like, well, in season 9 they let me talk, and that kind of panned out for us. So I'm excited about it. So you go out. Both of those interviews are up on Comicbook.com. You can go on our YouTube channel or just tweet at me, and I'll send you a link if you want to see it. And all right, the last thing I want to talk about from this episode is the Negan moment at the end with Father Gabriel. That's a moment very much from the Walking Dead comics. It's like around issue 151 or 153, where people in Alexandria are really riled up about the Whisperers. They want to fight back. They want to strike. Rick doesn't want to because he has seen Alpha's army, and he knows that's a terrible decision, and they will all die if they do. So Negan is the one. Rick, like, legit goes to Negan for help. So Negan is the one who says, you got the boogeyman at your door. Use it. And Rick is just like, I'm not going to lie to my people. Coral still laugh. And then Negan is just like, don't lie. And he uses a bunch of F words because it's the comics. And he's like, go just tell them what they want to hear, and then you'll get there or whatever. And the book ends with Rick basically giving the speech that Negan told him to give. And you hear everybody chanting like, Rick, 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 Rick. And Negan's in his cell going, attaboy, because he knows that Rick listened to him. So it's interesting that they gave that moment to Gabriel. Mm-hmm. I would think maybe Michonne or Daryl would have got that.
Yeah.
Because I can't picture Gabriel rounding up Alexandria and being like, all right, gang.
It was just a nice callback to their time in the camper together.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's a lot. I think there might have
they've
even been like a
built it.
dialogue echo if I remember something about crapping your pants. Because I feel like
people are putting their pants back on.
Yeah, I feel like that was the thrust of their conversation in the camper.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was the season 8 trailer, right? When I think it opened with Negan saying, I hope you got your shitting pants on.
Yeah.
I censored it. You see that? I took the I out. We're good. It can air.
Father Gabriel seems to be the most afraid of the Whisperers, or taking them the most seriously, I guess.
Well,
Maybe
he
that's
should
why
be
they chose.
because he has
Because
the
of
most
his
brutal
death.
death ever
Which is
in the comics.
Why they probably gave
Oh my
them
gosh.
that.
If you're not familiar with this, we've talked about this on After the Dead last year. The first issue of the Whisperer War, part 1 of 6, and I mean, all you got to do is open the book because it's how the book starts. He's on top of that water tower that Eugene and Rosita found last year, and he's got a sniper, and he's supposed to alert the group if the Whisperers are coming. And as soon as he gets up there, he's like, oh, no, crap, they're coming. I got to get back down and tell them. And he tries to get down, and he falls down the ladder, gets his leg stuck about 5 rungs of the ladder from the bottom. The bone goes through the skin. He's hanging upside down. Beta walks by, slits his throat, cuts his stomach open, guts are hanging out, walkers eat him. And that's like, I mean, it's brutal. It is the worst death I've ever seen in The Walking Dead, besides maybe Glenn.
Yeah.
It's up there. And I asked Seth Gilliam, I was like, dude, do you want that to happen? Because, like, that's a tough day on set. He's like, yeah, you're upside down, you're screaming, you're gargling. I mean, but he wants it. He said you got to have a good way to go out on the show. That's a good way to go out. But then again, they followed the comics for Glenn, and look at where that got them. I mean, people
Glenn's
were
different.
but people were up in arms about how violent that was.
Yeah.
So do you think this show can follow that? Is that too much?
I think so, because I think it'll be fine, because it all starts with a fall, and it's not like Negan straight up just torturing a pregnant woman, watching her husband get bashed in the face.
It is quicker. It's definitely.
I think it would be brutal in how impersonal they could make it. Like, Beta just walks by and is like, you're nothing, and just cuts his throat.
Because that's essentially what he does.
Yeah, and then just keeps walking, and then we're just sitting like and hearing Father Gabriel die. They don't even have to show it
It's
that
just so
much.
sad.
Just
He's like a
imagine
failure.
starting like the mid-season premiere. That's it. Like, that's the opening scene.
Yeah.
Because I could see the Whisperer War being what starts, mid-season 10.
That'd be great.
That'd be a great way to start it. But the pace that Angela Kang likes to move it, I'd like to see the Whisperer War also end this season.
Right.
Maybe that's
Same.
just
I
me.
agree.
This got to end.
It has to come and go. As much as I like Samantha Morton as Alpha and Ryan Hurst as Beta, I don't want this to get dragged out.
No,
the
this
governor
has to be
went on
done
too
the
long.
season,
Negan went on too long. If we're going to learn from the past, it's condense this and do it in favor of the pace. But man, we'll see if Father Gabriel goes and gets Alexandria riled up over Negan's suggested leadership style. We'll also see if his guts hang out while he's upside down on a ladder as this season goes on. All right, final things we're going to do here. Season 10 death predictions. I think we all kind of agree Gabriel probably is going to be one of them.
Yes.
But I want everybody to go down line. You can make 1 or 2 predictions. We'll start with Kofi. Who do you think dies in season 10?
I think the doctor is, I forget his name off the top of my head. I think there was that weird.
Rosita's?
Yeah, Rosita's baby's
doctor.
daddy.
I was the same.
Yeah, I think.
Sadiq?
Yeah, Sadiq.
Sadiq.
I think there's something in Sadiq's storyline. The spider imagery makes me think that spiders are usually like betrayal, intricate webs and stuff. Like, I think he's a double agent. I think either way he gets found out. Either he takes himself out because he can't take it. He gets taken out somehow, or something like that after he's revealed to be a traitor. That's my prediction.
Ooh,
Nice.
hope he's good.
I agree that he will also die. Sadiq will, but you said something interesting. We were watching it. Is that the other doctor was the spy?
Dante.
Oh, I was
Dante.
No, I think it was Sadiq.
Okay, so I think it's Dante.
Oh,
Oh,
we
you
got
think
a
Dante's-
doctor.
Well, it's funny because
He kept
I asked
looking
Alvin
at his
Ash about this.
mouth.
I said there is a strict unwritten rule on The Walking Dead, and that is a one doctor rule.
Yeah.
As soon as a new doctor comes in, the old doctor dies.
Yeah. So one of the two doctors is definitely a prediction.
One or two of them may be dirty, and one or two of them may be dead.
I don't think Sadiq is a bad guy. Come on.
Well, Carl
Baby
found him in
daddy?
the woods, maybe.
I mean, he was the one they sent back when everybody got killed, right? Like,
Yep.
and-
You're right. And he's having all
and
those
it's supposed
flashbacks.
to- and it was so to tell them that and put fear into them, but it's also to
Whoa.
watch them and see what they
All I'm
do.
going to say is you guys are onto something.
My brain's
You guys are good.
exploding.
You guys are smart. You got to get up pretty early in the morning to get one past Kofi. And
Yeah, you can't show me a picture of a spider in a TV show without me thinking something sinister's happening. Yeah.
My death prediction, and this is just as a fan, not knowing, I think Ezekiel is getting This Is Us. I think he inhaled a lot of
No.
smoke. I think he got a lot of smoke in his lungs at that satellite site, and I think he's gonna go out that way. There's like synopsises that say Sadiq's or Ezekiel's hiding a secret or something, and I think I mean, he already
No.
outlived his comic book story. I think that was just a means to switch things up, and I think he's going to get Abrahamed. Like, Abraham outlived his comic book story only to die a moment later. I
Whoa.
think Ezekiel's
I
going.
think Carol's on that Cardi B. She can't be your ex, just your widow.
That's
Yeah,
messed
everybody
up, man.
Carol gets close to dies. Let's face that.
Oh,
It's true.
Name somebody who survived
It's
besides
totally
Carol.
true.
I'm still looking at
Even
the
Axel.
flowers.
That's why I'm not shipping
I'm still
Daryl and
looking
Carol
at the
anymore.
flowers.
Even
I
back in
can't see anything else
season
but the
3 when
flowers.
Axel was weird towards her, that
Yeah.
got him killed. He got sniped. Like, it was middle of a conversation, and that guy with the mustache was just like, pluck,
Yep.
plucked.
All
All right.
at the flowers, my friend.
And now, really quickly, Janelle, did you watch Fear the Walking Dead season 5?
No,
You lucky.
I didn't.
So,
Yeah,
I
you lucked
actually
out.
didn't.
so let's talk about Fear the Walking Dead, because
The first season I did not watch.
this might be a hot take that I'm sure I'll catch some heat for. I think Fear the Walking Dead season 3 was, or at least is in the conversation for, the best single season of either Walking Dead show.
I do agree with this.
Yeah.
I thought Dave Erickson put together a masterpiece of a season, and then they fired him.
Yeah.
And they brought in Andrew Chambliss and Ian Goldberg as the showrunners, as a means to let them start this crossover with Morgan Jones and Lenny James, who is the best actor, I think, from either show.
I agree.
The most misused actor, I think, from either show.
I agree.
And season 4 was okay. It started off great. I loved the first few episodes of season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead. Then they killed Madison, and the show went off the rails.
That's when I fell off.
Back half of season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead wasn't good. That villain was weird, and I was just like, all right, maybe season 5 will be okay. Tremendous cast here, interesting characters. Let's see. Season 5 comes along. You strip Alicia of every bit of badass leader she was becoming. You strip Victor Strand of every interesting bit of con man he once was. You strip Daniel Salazar of the ruthless, fun-to-watch, unpredictable guy he once was. You introduce a bunch of kids I don't care about, and you make everybody a bland clone of Morgan Jones, who was the least interesting character in season 7 and 8 of The Walking Dead, which was already...
Yeah, he was the most
riddled with
annoying by far.
I love Morgan as a character because of the potential he has and because of the performances that Lenny James gives. But when he becomes a character that is willing to throw logic away, all of it, not an ounce of logic left in the man's body, throw reason away, and all he wants to do is help people because it's right, and he's done bad things. What bad things has Morgan even done, first of all? Because he spent the whole war with Negan not killing people.
Yeah.
So why is he even... What is he doing?
He's just trying to apologize for the times he went crazy and fell into the sunken place and became Killer Morgan, you know.
Who was way more fun to
Yeah,
watch.
exactly.
This is TV.
Way more
You know what? You
interesting
can
to
call
watch.
me. You can tell me I'm wrong because people should be good people. Yeah, in the real world they should. It doesn't make for good TV. So Fear the Walking Dead season 5. I think Fear the Walking Dead now boasts claim to the best single season in the Dead universe and the worst single season in the Dead universe.
Yeah.
John and June had one of the best episodes of either show.
Yeah.
In season 4.
That was the difference.
They
between-
became Morganites.
I was going to say, between season 4, you and I debate season 4 a little bit, but the difference for me is season 4 still had like a solid handful of really masterful episodes, John and June episode.
The only good episode of season 5, I think there was one, Althea with the helicopter, and it was the episode where Althea wasn't allowed to tape anything.
Yeah,
the camera was so and these actors did their jobs. Yeah. I think I want to be clear. I'm not blaming a single one of the cast members or the directors even. I think the directors even did the best with what they got in terms of scripts. I think it's time to seriously revisit this show, rethink who's in charge, and top down
angle of this.
If you think you're gonna keep cast members like Alicia Debnam Carey, Coleman Domingo, Ruben Blades, and Lenny James, you gotta do something different. You have to. They deserve better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the Walking
cliffhanger
Dead.
was just, did we learn nothing? Because Janelle, you don't know this because you didn't watch it, but spoiler alert: the episode ends with this cartoonish cowgirl new villain shooting Morgan Jones in the heart.
What?
And she leaves him behind because she's out of bullets. She couldn't shoot him in the head, and she says, "I truly hope you die." And he's bleeding out, and he gets on the radio, and he calls up all these people. He's like, "Just live. You know, we were doing what was right. Just live." With more of a southern accent than I ever heard Lenny James put on it. But and then 6 zombies are legitimately as far away from him as you are from me right now. They're closing in, and there's seemingly no sensible way Morgan can survive this.
Yeah.
There is no way, but they won't say that he's dead. He wasn't on In Memoriam and Talking Dead. The showrunners won't say that he's dead. The only way you satisfy fans at this point, from where I'm sitting,
oh boy,
the only way is if Madison Clark saves Morgan Jones.
Yes.
It's the only way.
Oh, you'll get me back.
And there's new people in charge.
Yeah.
No, I think the reveal has to be Cliff Curtis is back. And
He survived a helicopter fall. Why does every main character who dies on the show die off screen?
Off screen, yeah.
Travis fell out of a helicopter. We didn't see him die.
Too.
Madison,
I loved him.
For some reason, went down with the baseball stadium instead of just hopping over the fence. I don't even want to get into that. And then Morgan, I mean, he has no way out, but he still dies off screen if he dies there. I hope somebody saved him.
Yeah.
Because a 10-year character deserves a lot more respect.
I agree.
I think the show took a bad turn when Alicia didn't kill Charlie. Felicia shot Charlie.
Yeah, because she killed her brother.
Yeah.
She killed it. Oh,
Alicia shot Charlie. That would have been, woof. That would have gotten real dark. I would have been like,
but
this is a show.
But that's what The Walking Dead would have done in earlier years.
Yeah.
And that's Lizzie and Mika type episode.
Yeah, I'm still not recovered from that. I was down here. Do you think
the shows just won't do that anymore?
I think it's harder for them to.
It's just the people in charge that are.
But then again, Michonne just wiped out a whole school full of kids. So
that's true.
I just
sliced
think
up
it's
a bunch
the
of
people,
kids.
and The Walking Dead and Fear, they're just going back and forth. We've had bad seasons.
They can't be good at the same time.
It's like
they
they
just can't be good
both kill it
at the same time.
time.
We'll see. I think season 6 is gonna probably tie into the Rick movies, which we have great updates on the site about, and I think this Walking Dead 3 show hopefully is okay. We'll see.
Buddy.
We'll see at New York Comic Con.
buddy.
So by the time you've listened to this, we've seen the trailer for Walking Dead 3, which we'll have a lot to say about next week.
Oh man,
Nice.
We will have a lot to say about
forward
next
to
week.
that.
All right, and this has been After the Dead. Guys, if you have anything you want us to talk about, use Instagram and Twitter. Use hashtag After the Dead. We will search through the hashtag. We will look for you guys. If you have any questions you want us to ask cast members, drop them in that hashtag. We will look for it. If you want to find us online on social media, I am at Brandon Davis BD.
I am at Janelle Wheeler.
and I am at Kofi Outlaw.
You can find us on all the places where podcasts are available. Kofi, can you do that thing you do on Comic Book Nation?
Oh, yeah. We are on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Google Playlist, or you should be able to tell any Amazon Alexa device, play After the Dead podcast, and it'll fire right up for you.
Leave us a friendly review. Maybe we'll read it next week and give you a crisp high five if we see you at the next convention. This has been After the Dead. We'll see you next Sunday.